Hi there, welcome back to my channel. So you've been working with Power BI for a little while now, and you know how to import data, you know how to build visuals, you know how to maybe build your first dashboard, and you've even impressed people with it. Congratulations. But you notice too that the deeper you go into it, the more confusing it sometimes gets. Have you ever created a chart and then another chart and then clicked somewhere and then all of a sudden a filter was activated and you're like, how do I deactivate this? Or have you ever noticed that you create a chart and the data is off? A lot of this confusion is related to the concept of filtering. There are a lot of filters in Power BI. Also, there's a lot of cool slicers that you can add, and I will cover all of it today. So stick around and I'll teach you everything you need to know to never get confused again. Also, slicers can improve how your users can interact with your dashboard. It will be much more useful to them. Who doesn't want that? Let's start with the filter pane or filter panel. Once you open it, you'll immediately see these two types of filters. Filters on this page, filters on all pages. But if you click on a chart and keep it selected, you'll see that there's a third type, filters on this visual. This third type of filters is very specific to the chart you've selected, and they lead to a lot of confusion. So be aware that they exist. Now let's explore their configuration options. The filter option depends on the data type of your field. This is a text field, and as you can see, the basic filtering is usually the default configuration for these types of fields. In basic filtering, you have a list of all your values and you can search through it. If the list is very long, you would want to explore other options, such as advanced filtering or top N. In the advanced filtering, you have different possibilities to match the text value. For example, you can look up a specific string with the text field using contains. That was just an example. You, of course, have more options here. And now to my personal favorite, the top N filter. This will help you to sort and rank your field of interest by a specific value you choose. For example, you can identify top 10 products by the revenue. Let's do that quickly. So enter 10 here and drag and drop revenue. Et voila! Now our chart shows the 10 products that have generated the biggest revenue within the time frame that we're looking at. And I find it's interesting to see that only top 3 products have a positive return on investment. This is how filters turn your data into insights. Let's carry on. The filters for the whole page and all pages also have the same configuration options. Depending on the field type, the fine-tuning might be a little different. For filters on all pages, a good example is the date filter, because we would typically want to set the same time frame for the whole dashboard. Now that we have explored what filter types and configuration options we have in the filter pane or filter panel, here are some tips that help me a lot when working in Power BI. First, name filters clearly so that anyone using the dashboard understands what values are modified by using it. You can change the name of the filter by double-clicking the name. Second, custom calculated measures are tricky to use here. Even though you can add these as chart-level filters, you won't be able to add them to filters on this page or all pages, because a specific value or a range for each row is required for these type of filters. Third, use filter panel if your dashboard users request you to enable selections on many different dimensions. Slicers might not fit onto the page, so filter panel is perfect for this scenario, and they can scroll through the list of filters as well as use the search bar to find the filter they need. Number 4, if you choose to use the filter panel, remember that every chart has an individual filter in the panel unless you hide it. To avoid confusion, I recommend to make the individual chart filters invisible. Once disabled, they will only be visible to you in the desktop app as long as you develop your dashboard, but they will be invisible to your users once you publish it to the Power BI service. And finally, number 5, if you don't need to add a huge amount of filters and rather provide more structure and guide your users a little bit more on what they can do, I recommend using slicers instead. Let's dive into that. To add a slicer, make sure you have nothing else selected, then move to the visualization panel and select Slicer. Now add a field into it, for example, Product. Now you have created a slicer. Now you can change the appearance a little bit. For example, I will add a background to improve the readability. You also have many configuration options for the style of filters. These depend again on the field type. So if it's a text field, you will have less options than, for example, with number or date fields, because these additionally offer you range sliders, etc. You can test which filter is the best fit for your dashboard. For example, if you have only a few values of a dimension you want to filter by, you can choose tiles. They act like buttons. If there are many values, you can opt out for a list, so a vertical list or a drop-down list. You can also activate a search bar and enable multi-select to improve the usability. If you have multiple filters, your users will love you for adding this button. Check it out. Clear all filters. That way, if they want to reset their selection, they can do it with one simple click. There's also a very cool text filter that you can add. You can get it when you click on More here, and then you search for the text filter and add it. I already have it, so let's add it and select the manufacturer. This filter works as any search on any website, with the only limitation by the dimension you added to it. Let's try looking for something. Now, let me give you some additional tips. Number one, when configuring the slicer, make sure the slicer is selected and not a chart or something else, and then move on and configure the options. Second, name the slicers clearly so that the users know exactly what they're working with. The name can be changed by changing the title, or you can rename the dimension you selected. Third, use these visual slicers if you have fewer filters you need and to provide better usability and also a clear scope of your dashboard to your users. And if you're using them, you can consider disabling the filter panel. Why keep it if you don't need it, right? This will also ensure the individual chart filters are not used accidentally. Here you can disable them in the desktop app, and once published, no one will see the filter panel anymore. Number 4, use sync filters when needed. For example, for filters on date, if this is applicable, you'll get the option to sync the filters either when you copy a slicer to a new page, or you can also go to the View tab, Sync Slicers, and here you can decide which filters by page should be synced. And number 5 is a bonus tip. If you want to make the text slicers a super filter that can search through multiple dimensions, you can create a concatenated field in Power Query and add it to the text filter. When you add two charts or a chart and a table, you'll notice that they interact with each other. For example, the table highlights the value I select on the chart, and the chart filters the table. We're looking here at interactive cross filters, and they're activated by default. They can lead to confusion, but you can modify or even disable them. To see the interactive filter in action, you just need to select one value, and also you must deselect it as well if you want to reset the filter. Let's take the table as an example and modify the interactions. Select the table first, then navigate to Format tab and click Edit Interactions. Now you can modify how the table has an impact on other charts and slicers. For example, let's disable the interactions of the table with the slicers. That means if I select something on the table, it won't affect the values of the slicer anymore. And instead of highlighting the chart, let's filter the chart on interaction. Now let's select the chart and also disable the interaction with the slicers. Now let's test it. Do you see the difference? Try it out, and remember, you need to modify the behavior chart by chart, visual by visual. Now, the final thing that I would like to cover today is how to find out which filters are being applied to a particular chart. Actually, it's super easy. All you need to do is just to hover over this little guy. And done. There might be some filters that are not visible to you, but if you hover over this filter icon, you'll see the full list of filters that are applied to this chart. So remember, if you have the situation that your chart or a table looks a little bit off, check what filters are applied to it. Now, knowing everything about filters, you have a fantastic tool set to make your dashboard more useful for your users and also decrease the confusion for yourself. So keeping this in mind, if this video helped you even a little bit, please subscribe to my channel because there's so much more to come. Also click that like button underneath and comment what was your weirdest moment with a chart where it was related to a filter. And now off you go, make some dashboards that make actual sense. I'll catch you in the next one.